The Nigerian Immigration Service has called on nations within the Gulf of Guinea to prioritize maritime border security in order to contain transnational terrorism and organized illicit trade in the region. Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Kemi Nanna Nandap, who made this call at a workshop recently held in Lagos in collaboration with the United Nations Office of Counter Terrorism, said it's time to holistically address maritime insecurity beyond the narrow lens of piracy and smuggling. Experts at the event centered on regional maritime border security in the context of counter-terrorism in the Gulf of Guinea agreed that traditional land-based efforts at countering terrorism are now increasingly inadequate and called for improved collaboration in intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing, harmonization of practices, stronger legal frameworks, amongst others. Key leaders, policymakers, and security experts at the 3 day meeting, which was declared open by the Minister of Interior, Honorable Olubumi Tunjiojo, acknowledged the need for Nigeria to arrive at innovative solutions to address these challenges, especially given its geographical location between the Sahel and the Gulf of Guinea.
We are proud to co-host this initiative with the United Nations Counterterrorism Center, and we are deeply grateful for the shared commitment to enhancing maritime security in our region. As the Comptroller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, I am proud to lead an organization that has been at the forefront of securing our nation's borders and contributing to regional security efforts. The Gulf of Guinea is one of the most strategic maritime corridors in the world. It is rich in resources, it is teeming with trade, and it is central to the livelihoods of millions. Yet, it is also a region respect borders. They exploit weak links, they transverse coastlines, and they undermine our collective stability. Today, we stand at a critical juncture where maritime insecurity can no longer be viewed through the narrow lens of piracy or smuggling alone. The reality is far more complex. Terrorist groups are adapting. They are moving men, they are moving arms, money, and materials through our waters. They are leveraging organized criminal networks, and they are taking advantage of governance gaps. What was once seen as an isolated incident of violence on land is now rippling into our seas. It is posing grave challenges for national and regional security. As the lead agency responsible for managing the movement of persons across Nigeria's borders, the Nigerian Immigration Service understands the nexus between terrorism and maritime insecurity. From the illegal movement of foreign terrorist fighters to human trafficking, to irregular migration, and the infiltration of our maritime borders, these threats demand a new level of vigilance. It demands innovation. It requires regional coordination. This workshop represents a timely and strategic step forward. Over the next 3 days, we will have the opportunity to pool our insights, to harmonize our experience, and to enrich the compendium of good practices for maritime border management in the context of counterterrorism. But beyond the documentation of good practices, we must also grapple with some hard truths. Firstly, that many of our national maritime strategies still lack robust provisions on terrorist movements across maritime borders. Those gaps in surveillance, data sharing, and port security continue to hinder early warning signs and detection. Secondly, that community engagement along coastal areas still remains underutilized in identifying and disrupting extremists' networks. We must therefore move from coordination to integration, from fragmented efforts to a coherent regional approach that unites immigration services, the Navy, the customs, intelligence agencies, so that we have a seamless security architecture. For Nigeria, we have begun this journey. The Nigerian Immigration Service is working hard to harmonize and modernize its border management infrastructure and to deploy maritime domain awareness tools, and also to expand interagency collaboration. But we know this is not a journey that we can walk alone. Regional solidarity and international support must remain indispensable. We therefore call for deeper intelligence sharing across borders and across domains. We call for stronger legal frameworks that criminalizes maritime terrorism in all its forms. We call for capacity building, initiatives that equip frontline officers with the tools to act decisively and lawfully. And above all, the political will to uphold international obligations even in the face of domestic constraints. Let us be clear. Ensuring maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea is not just a matter of safeguarding ships and ports. It is a matter of protecting sovereignty of national borders, defending human lives, and securing the economic futures of our nations. The seas connect us, but they also expose us. Therefore, our response must be connected, informed, and resilient.
As Nigeria's commercial hub and a home to one of Africa's busiest ports, Lagos State remains at its forefront of efforts to secure our maritime borders. Through close collaboration with the Nigerian Immigration Service and other security agencies, we have strengthened border controls, enhanced maritime surveillance, and improved port security. These efforts are crucial in facilitating legitimate trade while combating smuggling and other illicit activities. I am confident that the discussions that will ensue here will generate innovative strategies and foster stronger partnerships among all stakeholders.
Of all the three border areas, the maritime, the air, and of course the land, we know that the most porous and the most technical is obviously the maritime border. And Nigeria, looking at our geographical location in Africa, I say this, it could be an asset, it could be a liability, because Nigeria is a country, one of the few in the world, that falls within two sub-regions. Nigeria falls within the Sahel and at the same time within the Gulf of Guinea. When you look at insecurity from the Sahel down to the Gulf of Guinea, then from the Gulf of Guinea to the Sahel, put lots of pressure on our internal security agencies. With a population of over 230 million people, that brings a lot of challenges. And beyond that, with a population of over 70% below the age of 40, with over 42% below the age of 15, shows very well that there is an enticer for insecurity and terrorism because of the young population that we boast of in Nigeria. Having said this, it shows that the time to review our border strategic policy is now. And I'm happy that the NIS is already doing that by virtue of what we've started today. Having said that, the president has always challenged us to be innovative, dare to innovate, dare to achieve. I tell you, securing the maritime space is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy. But the question is, can we get it done? Yes, we can get it done. With the right idea, with the right resolution, with the right framework, and with the right mindset, we can get it done.
Italy supports training program for maritime law enforcement, Coast Guard personnel, and judicial actors. And also in this very moment, as I speak, there is actually 18 officers from several police forces of Nigeria, including 6 from the Immigration Service that are in Italy for a training about forensic and crime scene investigation. Italian expertise in maritime law, surveillance, technologies, and port security has been shared with the West African nations, enhancing their ability to monitor and protect their maritime domains independently. Furthermore, Italy emphasizes multilateralism and cooperation and actively supports the implementation of the Yaoundé Architecture for Maritime Security, the regional framework established by ECOWAS, ECAS, and the Gulf of Guinea Commission.
The Gulf of Guinea has long been a global hotspot for maritime piracy and armed robbery, but the evolution of these threats is into more complex networks that support finance or enable terrorism mark a disturbing shift. Ransom payment for hijacking, trafficking in oil and arms, and the use of informal maritime routes to evade detection are increasingly contributing to terrorist financing and logistics. The nexus between terrorism and organized maritime crime is not just a theoretical concern. It is a reality playing out along this coastline. At the same time, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and oil theft further destabilize coastal community and erode the rule of law, often creating an environment in which terrorists and criminal actors can operate more freely. This convergence of illicit activities calls for a response that is equally integrated. In response, we must adapt to our counterterrorism strategy to account for the maritime domain. Traditional land-based counterterrorism efforts are no longer sufficient. The sea must be treated as an equally vital operational theater where surveillance, interdiction, and border management capabilities are urgently needed.
The sea exposes all of us. The Sahel also does. So we have all of these security challenges, coming to us from different places, and so we need to be more dynamic in our approach. We need to be coordinated. We need to have a coordinated response to some of these security threats. All the terrorists that are operating along our shores are driven by narcotics. There is the element of drugs that is in this mix. I have seen the program for today. I've seen the one for tomorrow. I understand the importance of sharing intelligence, having a legislative framework, but somewhere along the line, we have to have the use and the access and the control of narcotics to our conversations. And possibly more important is that terrorists around this place leverage the gaps in our financial systems to fund their operations. We have to understand how they use the financial system to fund their activities. So terrorism financing is also very, very important, and I believe that we must find a way within these workshops or in similar engagements in the future to add this to the conversation.
There have been conversation in the National Assembly by some persons who thought that we should create a coastal guard. In their opinion, we need a coastal guard to complement what the Immigration Service is doing, what the Navy is doing, and other security agencies. My personal opinion, not the opinion of the National Assembly, is that what we need is to invest, re-equip, fund properly, and train properly existing institutions. I believe that if the Nigerian Navy is given more resources to recruit more officers and men and acquire more equipment, communication gadgets, and all of the things you need to have an effective and efficient naval force, and you spend more money on immigration to deal with their own aspects of border control, and you even spend more money on
maritime police, which I got to do when I was governor in Edo State. I believe that re-equipping these existing institutions is to be preferred than setting up a completely new outfit that you spend so much more on overhead and then very little money available for operation. I will cause more trouble by giving such example as we have done before when we exercise traffic division of the Nigeria police to a whole outfit, which we now call road safety. People of my age try to compare what we see now to what it was when road safety was part and parcel of the traffic division of the Nigeria police. I think of all the challenges we face today in our sub-region, maritime security should be easily one of them. And whatever can be done, I am confident that those of us in the National Assembly recognizes that we have no choice but to give a happy hand to ensure those are done.
Maritime insecurity is not just a threat to shipping lanes. It's a mirror of regional vulnerability and of our collective resolve. The Nigerian police recognizes the complex and evolving nature of transnational organized crimes, including terrorism, piracy, illicit trafficking, and other asymmetric threats that has continued to threaten maritime stability. These threats demand more than just conventional responses. They require coordinated, intelligence-driven, and technology-enabled strategies. The Gulf of Guinea, as a critical maritime corridor connecting several nations, must be protected through effective surveillance, robust intelligence mechanisms, enhanced interagency collaborations, and deepened international cooperation. Its vulnerability to exploitation by non-state actors, including terrorism networks, compels unified action. In this regard, the Nigerian Police Force remains committed to working collaboratively with the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Nigerian Customs, and other relevant national and international agencies.
Maritime TV Africa reports that various international and research organizations indicate that Nigeria's location between the Sahel and the Gulf of Guinea, a critical trade corridor, poses maritime security challenges. Reports show over 4,000 terrorism related casualties in 2019, over 4,500 casualties from armed conflicts in Central Sahel between January and June 2020, and in 2022, the Gulf of Guinea accounted for 63% of global piracy incidents. Over 2.6 million persons were internally displaced in the Sahel by February 2022, with 930 refugees in neighboring states. The Gulf of Guinea is estimated to attract at least $253 billion worth of maritime trade annually.